Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special edition of the Master of the Mat. And what you heard in the background and what you're hearing in the background is the music of the late, great, former Intercontinental Champion, two-time Hall of Famer. He's also a former, hold on one second, he's also a former United States champion, former AWA Tag Team champion, the one, the only, the bad guy, Razor Ramon, aka Hey Yo, Scott Hall. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is we're gonna do a wrestle treat tonight for Scott Hall. I am a huge NWO fan. I'm also a huge Scott Hall fan, and we're gonna get right into it. Let me send the links out real quick. Cut that off. Let me send the links out. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to send a link out. Stupid phone. There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Master of the Mat. And I am your host, Anthony the Origin Bryant. And today we're going to talk about Scott Hall. We're going to talk about the recent actions in WWE. We're going to talk about Jeff Hardy in AEW. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. And I'm going to kick it off with a tribute to Scott Hall, the bad guy, Razor Ramon. Like I said in the opening part of the show, Scott Hall is a former Intercontinental Champion. As a matter of fact, Scott Hall was the first four-time Intercontinental Champion in WWE history. Scott Hall is also a former multiple-time Tag Team Champion with Kevin Nash in WCW. He's also a former two-time TV Champion in WCW, a two-time United States Champion in WCW. He's a World War III Battle Royal winner. Scott Hall has done it all in his illustrious career. He's he is a part. He is the founding father of the NWO, alongside Kevin Nash and Hollywood Hogan. He's a member of the Clique, which consists of Triple H, Shawn Waltman, Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, and I think somebody else. I'm not sure, but I'm not for sure, but I think that's the entire Clique right there. So like I said before, Hall has won the Intercontinental Championship four-time. He's a two-time U.S. champion, two-time tag team champion. If I'm not mistaken, Scott Hall won the tag team titles about 10 times in WCW. But I don't want to say nothing wrong, but I'm going to let you know right now. Last Monday, the wrestling world was devastated at the passing of the late, great Scott Hall. Um, he will be missed. For those of you who don't know who Scott Hall is, he started his career off in WCW as the Diamond Stud. But before that, he was in AWA as Big Scott Hall, and he teamed up with another late great superstar, Kurt Hennig, and they became tag team champions in AWA. After leaving AWA, Scott Hall went down to Atlanta, Georgia, and experimented with Ted Turner's WCW. And from that point on, they put him with DDP, and they called him and DDP the Diamond Exchange. At the time, it was DDP, Scott Hall, and then later on came Vinny Vegas, aka Kevin Nash. Scott Hall left WCW, went over to WWE. WWE started doing these vignettes about the bad guy, Razor Ramon, Tony Montana, Scarface mixed together with Tony Montana and Scarface, but you get what I'm saying. Tony Montana all mixed together and called him Razor Ramon. Mm. He came over. He started as a heel. He became a babyface shortly after that. On an edition of Monday Night Raw, Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon, made Sean Waltman famous. And what I mean by made that kid famous, he made him famous to the point where if it wasn't for Scott Hall, there would be no Sean Waltman. Let me just put it to you like that. And from that point on, Waltman became the 1, 2, 3 kid. After that, Scott Hall fame risen to the top of the WWE. A few months later, Scott Hall will go on to defeat the model Rick Martel to win his first of 4 Intercontinental Championships, and the rest is history. At WrestleMania 10, Scott Hall, Shawn Michaels went out there in a ladder match and had perhaps the best damn ladder match in wrestling history today. And when I say that, I mean that with all sincerity. Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon ladder match. As a matter of fact, it was Pro Wrestling Illustrated Match of the Year for 1994. In the words of JBL, somebody called the sheriff because them boys stole the show, and they stole the show not only at SummerSlam, but at 95's something. Not I'm sorry, not only at WrestleMania, but at 1995 SummerSlam. Scott Hall, Shawn Michaels did it again, stole the show all over again. You talk about Scott Hall, you can't talk about how he has had great Intercontinental Championship matches. He put over Goldust at Royal Rumble 96 perfectly. That's how Goldust's career got boosted because of Scott Hall. He made Jeff Jarrett look like he was a wrestling savant. He made Road Dogg look good. So you're talking about guys that Scott Hall has put over. It's a who's of wrestlers Scott Hall put over. 1, 2, 3 Kid, Jeff Jarrett, Dustin Rhodes, aka Goldust. He put over a lot of guys in WCW. Um, he put over a wrestler by the name of Hector Garza, God rest his soul. And Hector Garza, Schoolboy, Scott Hall, in addition to Nitro, pinned him 1, 2, 3 in the ring, beat him, and put him over. After that, Razor, you saw the crowd go nuts for Hector Garza because he beat one of the best of the business, Scott Hall. That's all fine and good. In the same token, after the match, Scott Hall to beat the crap out of him. He outside edged them and outside edge referee just to make a point to Larry Zbyszko. So I'm about to read to you Scott Hall's championship achievements. He's a TNA World Tag Team Champion with Kevin Nash and Eric Young under that Freebird rule. That Freebird rule gets on my nerves. He's a USWA Unified World Heavyweight Champion. He's a WCW TV Champion 2 times, United States Heavyweight Champion 2 times. He is a 7-time WCW World Tag Team Champion. He won the 1997 World War III. He also is a former WWC Caribbean Heavyweight Champion and a WWC Universal Heavyweight Champion. He is a 4-time Intercontinental Champion. If I'm not mistaken, he has beaten the likes of Jeff Jarrett for the Intercontinental Championship. He's beaten the likes of Rick Martel. He's beaten the likes of Kevin Nash. And his last and final reign as Intercontinental Champion, I remember this like it was yesterday. He beat Dean Douglas, aka Shane Douglas, for the Intercontinental Championship. He is a 2-time Hall of Famer. He was inducted in 2014 as Razor Ramon and in 2020 alongside the NWO under his real name. So Scott Hall in achievements reaches the all-time favorite. He's one of the greatest of all time. You talk about Scott Hall. You talk about Scott Hall. You talk about Scott Hall. Scott Hall did it all. He, like I said, a founding father of the NWO. I truly believe if Scott Hall did not show up on Monday Nitro, there will be no NWO. There would definitely be no NWO. And I say that because if it wasn't for Scott Hall laying the groundwork, there would be no NWO. Hogan was the leader because it was the right thing to do. Because who do you put in that leadership? You don't put Hogan, you don't put Hall, you don't put Nash, you put Hogan. Because at the time, Hogan was the immortal Hulk Hogan. He was coming out there with his red and yellow on, coming out there with that I am a real American theme crap. He was doing his whole thing. He was getting booed out the arena. He was getting booed and booed and booed and some more booed. So what you do? Bash to the Beach, 1996. One second, I'm sorry. Bash to the Beach, 1996. The main event, Sting, the late great Randy Macho Man Savage, the total package Lex Luger against Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and their mystery partner, who later turns out to be Hulk Hogan. Hogan comes out to the biggest pop since he first won the world title back in the WWF. Hogan comes out to a big pop. Everybody thinks he's gonna be WCW, and come to find out he drops a big leg right on Randy Savage. From there on, the NWO was formed. From that point on, there was no one bigger. There was no one better. There was no one. There was no organization bigger. There was no organization better. I'm gonna go out there and say it like this: WCW had no comeback for the NWO because in WCW, the only person that touched the NWO was Diamond Dallas Page. After Page touched the NWO, Page was the first person to drop Scott Hall. He was and I lied to you not. DDP dropped Scott Hall with a diamond cutter in the center of the ring. WCW had nobody to stop the NWO because Sting was on a hiatus. Luger was building confidence and all that good stuff. Then Lex Luger came along and started dominating the NWO. Scott Hall went through his personal trials, which I think was stupid for Ted Turner to broadcast his personal trials on TV and stuff like that. And it didn't make all it did was make Scott Hall look stupid and like he was going through something, but he was going through something heavy. He had a drinking problem. We all know the trials and tribulations of Scott Hall. He went through a lot of stuff. He came to the ring one night drunk as a crap and attempted to wrestle Juventud Guerrero. He threw up on Eric Bischoff, and and I guess WCW thought that was wrestling. That was gonna make us tune in to WCW. It made us turn the channel. To be honest with you, after he got himself together, the NWO he came back out. Starcade. He tasered Goldberg, the famous taser. He tasered Goldberg right into Kevin Nash's jackknife powerbomb. Kevin Nash ends Goldberg undefeated streak. Not only that, becomes the world heavyweight champion. Now, fast forward 2 weeks later, um, I don't know where we're at. Oh, we're Atlanta, Georgia. It was scheduled to be Kevin Nash Goldberg rematch for the world heavyweight championship. Never went down that way. What went down that way was what is considered the finger point of doom. Hollywood Hogan one on one with Kevin Nash. Now, Kevin Nash, Hollywood came out with Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump. Um, yeah, he came he came out with Kevin Nash, and then it came out with Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump. Kevin Nash came out with who else? His outsider brethren, Scott Hall. In that match, there was no lockup. There was nothing. They locked up. They broke out. Hogan tapped them. Nash dropped to the ground. Hogan went in for the cover. One, two, three. The NWO Wolfpack Mega was born. Scott Hall career took off after that. And when I mean took off, it took off. At Slamboree that same year, Scott Hall will go on to beat Hall of Famer and the Hall of Famer and late great superstar Rowdy Roddy Piper to win the WCW United States Championship. Now, here's the kicker to that. It was supposed to be Bret Hart. Bret Hart refused, from what the rumor says, Bret Hart refused to drop the U.S. title to Scott Hall. So what they did is they gave Roddy Piper the U.S. title. Piper knew his job. Piper knew what he had to do. He was going to drop the belt to Scott Hall anyway. So why not? Piper went out there, fist of flying, hammering, doing this and that. It was a great matchup. I give it a 9 out of 8. Scott Hall went out there, did his own thing, outside the edge, bam, 1, 2, 3. Scott Hall is the U.S. champion. 2 weeks later, on Monday Nitro, Scott Hall defeats Booker T to become the WCW television champion. Scott Hall is walking around with 2 championships. He's walking around with the TV title and the U.S. championship. If I'm not mistaken, he's the first man to ever do that, but hey, who's counting on that? Went on. After that happened, WCW went out of business. Scott Hall came over, one last good run in WWE before the plane ride from hell. Sad about that plane ride from hell. Um, Scott Hall went on to WrestleMania 18, the Battle of Stone Cold Steve Austin. It it wasn't the main event caliber match, but it was a great matchup. Stone Cold came out, hit the stunner on Scott Hall, 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. After the match was over, excuse me, after the match was over, Hall he hit another stunner on Kevin Nash, and that was all she wrote. Scott Hall would then go on to go in a rivalry with Bradshaw on doing a brand extension, which didn't last long due to the plane ride from hell. On that plane ride from hell, it was said that a lot of people was drug up, drunk, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Kurt Hennig and Brock Lesnar got into a shoot fight that actually turned into a real fight. Kurt Hennig knocked out Brock Lesnar on the plane. That same plane was the plane where the Blue Meanie knocked out Bradshaw. Now, we're gonna get into all that. I'm gonna talk about that later on, but just know after the plane arrived from hell, a lot of superstars was released, a lot of superstars was suspended. Scott Hall was on the unfortunate hand of being suspended. Kevin Nash had left the WWE at the time, came with the TNA. They called themselves the Band. Went on to become the TNA Tag Team Champions with Scott Hall. Scott Hall, personal demons, reared his ugly hair again, but they will go on to become the TNA World Tag Team Champions. After a short run with TNA, Scott Hall got his life together. He joined DDP, Larry Zbyszko, and DDP Yoga. Scott Hall went in, did his surgery, did his thing, came out wonderful, got himself together. They inducted Scott Hall as Razor Ramon into the Hall of Fame. The the biggest accomplishment, the biggest thing you can ever do is was just simply awesome. Scott Hall, Hall of Famer, 2 time over, as Razor Ramon and as the member of the NWO. So, one last time, I want to pay tribute to the late Ray Scott Hall. Then we're gonna get into the other stuff I want to talk about. So this is for the bad guy. Now we're gonna have a moment of silence as we toll the bell 10 times for Scott Hall. So give me a minute. That Give me 1 second, guys. Oh, here we go. Rest in peace, Razor Ramon, Scott Hall. Now, on to other news talked about in professional wrestling. Jeff Hardy is officially a free agent. Jeff Hardy is on a week by week contract with AEW. Um, Tony Khan paid for Jeff Hardy to come over to the AEW. He also paid for him to bring over his theme music. So Vince McMahon is very upset with that because Jeff Hardy, he wanted Jeff Hardy to come back for one good run. Jeff Hardy said no because if you read the story behind Jeff Hardy, you would have saw what was going on. The story behind Jeff Hardy is this: Jeff Hardy said that he felt like a ghost in WWE from time to time, and he at Survivor Series. Remember, it got down to Hardy and Seth Rollins. We all thought Hardy was going to win. Come to find out, Seth Rollins was going to win. Not a big fan of Seth Rollins. He may be called the architect, but he still sucks to me. I think Jeff Hardy is going to do magnificent things in AEW. If he decides to go back to WWE after his year contract with AEW's up, it'll be great for him. But it's going to be an awesome run for the Hardy boys, and Jeff Hardy. It's been a treat for the last couple of years to see Jeff Hardy back in WWE. For those of you who don't know, Jeff Hardy did pass his drug test, his last drug test. Now he's in TNA. I mean AEW. There is no more TNA, so it's going to be great. Now, um, the Hardy Boys will team this Wednesday now on AEW Dynamite. You're going to see a treat. You're going to see the Icon Sting, Darby Allin team up with Jeff and Matt, the Hardy Boys, the battle Private Party, and the Butcher and the Blade. Yes, you heard me right. There's a tag team called the Butcher and the Blade. I don't know why, but that's the name of the tag team. It's gonna be a four-man Texas Tornado match this Wednesday night on Dynamite. Don't be a stranger. Don't miss it. I'm gonna miss it because I'm gonna be at work. I'm glad I'm gonna miss it. I already am. I'm glad I'm gonna miss Dynamite. So also in further news, Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, the the failure son of Dusty Rhodes. You know what? I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna get this off my chest right now. I don't give a damn about Cody Rhodes. And I'm gonna tell you why. One thing is for certain, and two things for sure. Cody Rhodes left the WWE because he got tired of playing Stardust. Hey, moron! Your brother made a name for himself as Goldust, and I mean a huge name for himself. You got tired of the Stardust gimmick because you didn't know how much further you can take it. Let me explain something to you right now, moron. If Goldust decides to come back to WWE, he can take that Goldust gimmick to heights it ain't never seen. All you had to do was sign the contract. All you had to do was stick around, and Stardust would have been as big or as bigger as Goldust. Oh, but no, you didn't want to. You wanted to leave WWE and experience places elsewhere. Let me explain something to you right now. Just because you're a former Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion, just because you're a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, both of those titles don't mean diddly anymore, especially the NWA World title, because the current champion is the former WWE superstar Matt Cadota, aka Zack Ryder. Now you know that belt don't mean crap when people like Zack Ryder hold that title. Before it was Zack Ryder, it was Trevor Murdoch. The NWA title, the lineage of the NWA World Heavyweight Championship goes from a who's of wrestlers, from Jeff Jarrett to Ric Flair to the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, Harley Race, Sting, Barry Windham, the Great Muta, Masahiro Chono. Those guys made that title. Guys like Nick Aldrich, Cody Rhodes, guys like Trevor Murdoch, Matt Cardona, you guys are just holding 10 pounds of reduced gold that don't mean crap anymore. You want to talk about Ring of Honor champions? Let's talk about great Ring of Honor champions. Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Seth Black, aka Seth Rollins, Jay Lethal, Jay Briscoe, Adam Cole, baby. Those guys were great Ring of Honor champion. Guys like Cody Rhodes, Dalton Castle, what's that jerk off that holds the title now? Jonathan Gresham. Who the hell is Jonathan Gresham? But he's the current Ring of Honor World Champion. You talk about Ring of Honor. Let's talk about guys who came from Ring of Honor. Let's talk about guys who currently signed to AEW and WWE that made a name for themselves in Ring of Honor. Guys like Daniel Bryan, aka Bryan Danielson. Guys like CM Punk. Guys like Seth Black. Guys like Mark and Jay Briscoe. Those guys sweat and toured Ring of Honor because they made their name in Ring of Honor. The Briscoes are the former. I'm gonna get to you 1 second, Zoom. The Briscoe one are perhaps the greatest tag team in Ring of Honor history. 11-time Ring of Honor tag team champions. Cody Rhodes went, came to Ring of Honor, held the Ring of Honor for a cup of coffee, literally a cup of coffee, before losing the title to Jay Lethal in a fatal four-way. No, I'm sorry, before losing the title to Dalton Castle. I don't even know who the hell Dalton Castle is, but he's good. He's not deserving to be a world champion, but he's good. Now, Cody Rhodes has reportedly signed a new deal with WWE. Hey, moron! This ain't back in the day with the old WCW and WWF. You can't jump from company to company. You do realize since you signed this deal with WWE, when you leave again, you can't wrestle for 90 days, you jerk. What part of that don't you understand? What part don't you get? You're going to sign a new contract with WWE, but yet you didn't want to deal with Stardust. You didn't want to deal with, I don't want to be Stardust no more. Your brother took a metrosexual gimmick and ran with it. The stuff they had Dustin doing was ridiculous, but you know what? He did it. And in the process, he became a 3-time Intercontinental Champion alongside. You know why? Because Dustin took that Goldust gimmick to heights it ain't never seen before. The Stardust gimmick, it would have worked. You just didn't want to do it that much. Then you got mad. You finally dropped the Stardust gimmick and you went back to Cody Rhodes. Then you left. You took your wife and you left. You left. I don't understand why. Then you go to AEW. Then you go to AEW. I'm gonna get to you and Zoom in a few minutes. Hold on. Then you start up AEW with Tony Khan, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega. Another jerk I don't like. I used to like him. Now I don't like him. Okay, you start up AEW, and you would think, since you are part owner of AEW, you'll be world champion. See, this is what pisses me off about companies that's starting up right now. You cannot make a company. He's a spoiled brat. You cannot You cannot start up a company by giving the world title to a ex WWE superstar. That made no damn sense. So you're telling me, this is what you're telling me, AEW. You're not going to homegrown your superstars. You're just going to give Chris Jericho become the first AEW World Champion. Wow. It should have been Hangman Adam Page. It should have been Hangman Adam Page, but it wasn't. It was Chris Jericho. Right off the bat, your former world champion, your current world champion, your current world champion in AEW. Well, your first world champion in AEW was Chris Jericho. Chris freaking Jericho. It should have been Hangman Adam Page, but it wasn't. And what's pissing me off by AEW again, your second world champion was another former WWE champion, Dean Ambrose. Come on, man. How about you take people we don't already know and put them in the spotlight? Guys like you got Scorpio Sky, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian. You got those guys signed to your roster and you're not doing a damn thing with them. Why? Because you're using guys like Chris Jericho, John Moxley, Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston is a damn good wrestler, by the way. He really is. You're promoting guys like Jake Hager, who, when he was in WWE, the only damn thing he was good for was "We the People." Yes, he's a former ECW champion. Yes, he's a former World Heavyweight champion. He's a former United States champion. But you know what? The guy absolutely sucked. They put him with Dutch Mantel, and he still didn't get over. Now explain to me how you get put with Dutch Mantel, the guy who made JBL's career when he was Justin Hart Bradshaw, and you don't get over. With that being said, Alberto Del Rio didn't get over when he was with Dutch Mantel. So a lot of people didn't get over with that guy. Then you put him with, then in this whole inner circle crap and AEW, you hold back perhaps one of the hottest tag teams around, Pride and Powerful, Santana Ortiz. Let me tell you something. I was an Impact Wrestling fan, and I admit that. But the only reason I was an Impact Wrestling fan because of Santana and Ortiz. I get to that in a few minutes. That's why I was an Impact fan, because Santana Ortiz and the Lucha Brothers. You know why? Because them boys did it. Them boys did some damage. Them boys get out there and do some damage in that ring. Now, you talk about AEW and how they're doing stupid stuff. Okay. This whole unification title reign is not going to work because WWE wants to please, and I'm gonna get back to AEW. And when I finish this thought, I'm gonna tell you why I don't like Cody Rhodes. At WrestleMania, is 2 weeks away. No, it's next Sunday. Is it next Sunday? I don't know. Nah, WrestleMania, yeah, it is next Saturday. WrestleMania is next Saturday. Okay, Sunday's main event is a unification match between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Okay, it's for the Universal and WWE Championship. They're finally getting rid of this double world title reign. Two world champions. For what? Because I'm talking about Cody? I get that in a few minutes. Cody, I mean, man, it got me talking about Cody. WWE wants to make one champion, but they want to keep Fox and they want to keep USA happy. Screw that. Your company, you do what you want to do. That's the way I see it. One champion, make one title, put one champion on both shows. That's the way you do it. That's just my opinion. You're speaking very wrong on the Golden Child. How the hell is Cody Rhodes the Golden Child? Explain something to me, okay? When he was in AEW, he couldn't get the job done and become a world champion. What the hell do you think is going to be different in WWE since he's back? Because I don't see his ass being a world champion. Look at the two world champions in WWE right now. The dominant, the dominant, the tribal chief Roman Reigns, the beast incarnate Brock Lesnar. Now you're telling me that he's going to come back and they're going to put him in a storyline and he's going to beat Roman Reigns, who hasn't been pinned for 2 years now? Literally 2 years? You telling me he's going to get in the ring with Brock Lesnar and Vince is going to let Cody beat Brock Lesnar? I say hell no. Cody Rhodes is a mid-star superstar, just like in the WFCW. The Horsemen are mid-star superstars. It's just that simple. Until Cody proves to me that he got what it takes to become a main event caliber superstar. Now I will give Cody props on one thing. His dog collar match with Brody Lee was awesome. And I mean it was awesome. That match was awesome. I mean his match with Chris Jericho for the world title was awesome. The first AEW pay-per-view, his match with his brother was awesome. Was awesome. Yeah, but I said it before and I say it again. He's a spoiled brat. He feels because he's the son of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, he's supposed to be handed things on a silver platter. Silver platter, my ass. You work for this bit. You work for what you want in this business. You work for it. You earn it. You get it. You got it. Yeah, WWE is not making the best decisions right now. No, you're not. You're not making the best decisions right now. The WWE, and that's all. Let me hold before I go to that. Let me say it like this, and that's my view on Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes want to do something. Cody Rhodes come to WWE and let him run through 6 world champions. Then when he get an opportunity world champion, he take the world champion to his limit, and that's that. That's my point. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Don't like him. Don't care for him. I prefer Dustin over Cody any day of the week. Hell, twice on Sundays. That's just the way it is. The WWE is not making good decisions right now. Okay, the WrestleMania card for WrestleMania Night 1, Night 2 reads as follows. Hold on. And I think it's real dirty the way they're doing Ricochet. I really do. I think that what is real dirty, you give him the Intercontinental title and you don't book him for WrestleMania. So, night one WrestleMania matches are as follow: Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio versus The Miz and Logan Paul. Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin with Madcap Moss. The Usos versus Nakamura and Rick Boogs. Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Those are the 5 matches for WrestleMania Night 1. The card is subject to change, but that's what they're going with for Night 1. Night 2 reads as follow. Uh-oh. A fatal four-way for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Queen Zena, Queen, whatever, what is that woman's name? Zeta Vega, Queen Vega and Carmella defend the championships against Sasha Banks and Naomi versus Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan versus Natalya and Shayna Baszler. Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn, anything goes match. Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. The rated R superstar versus the phenomenal AJ Styles. I'm looking forward to that matchup. Brock Lesnar, WWE Champion, versus Universal Champion Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman. Winner take all for the WWE and Universal Championship. Match yet to be booked on the card. The Street Profits versus not rated, damn, RK Bro. 2 nights of WrestleMania and they still can't get together. Well, we're gonna see how it turns out. All right. On my final note, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say it like this. Cody Rhodes signed with the WWE. Bravo. Welcome back to the WWE. Welcome back to where you started your career and where you perhaps should have never left in the first place. Welcome back. Welcome back. But for order for you to be back, you got to prove yourself. Because just because you're a three-time TNT champion, it don't mean diddly in WWE. Just because you're a former NWA World Champion, that don't mean diddly that now that you're back. Just because you're a former Ring of Honor World Champion, that don't mean diddly now that you're back. You're back in the WWE. Yeah, everybody talking about how Cody's gonna be this, how Cody's gonna be that. Well, Cody, this is your time to show the world why you are the American Nightmare. This is your time to show the world that you got what it takes. This is your time to show that you are the dream's son. You either gonna nut up or you gonna shut up. You're back in the land of opportunities. You're back in WWE. Now it's time for you to show the world whether you're here to make money or you're here to be a mega star. My personal opinion, you don't have what it takes because you want to be Mr. Popular. You want to be Mr. Big. You want to be Mr. Good Guy. You want to go out there and give guys opportunity. Screw that. In the wrestling business, is every man for himself. You get yours, everybody else come behind you. You got to be like Roman Reigns is right now. You got to make yourself the head of the table. You got to make yourself the top dog because if you don't, there's a lot of guys in that locker room that's itching for an opportunity. There's a lot of guys in the NXT locker room that's itching to get called up. Guys like Braun Breaker, the son of Rick Steiner. You talk about guys like Braun Breaker. Let's talk about Braun Breaker. Let's talk about his father and his uncle, the Steiner brothers, former NWA, WCW, WWE, IWGP tag team champions. You talk about guys like that, and his son, Braun Breaker, a former NXT champion. And he's a rookie. And he's already a world champion. Cody, how many times have you been a world champion? Cody, how many times have you been a world champion? Because if you say the Ring of Honor or NWA title, those titles don't mean crap no more. That's just a paperweight. That's all it is. That's all it is. So let me end this live right now because I'm about to go make me something to eat and say y'all have a wonderful evening. I have a short work week this week. I'm working Monday through Thursday. I have something to do on Friday. And I will see y'all next week, probably. All right, y'all. Y'all be easy. Peace. So before I go, I'm gonna pay one more tribute to the bad guy himself, Razor Ramon. What? My bad. So sorry about that. We're gonna try this one more time before I leave out. Something happened and I didn't like it. These are the belts Scott Hall held. Two-time U.S. champion, four-time Intercontinental champion. Now, as we end the show, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna do another 10 bell salute for the late great Scott Hall. So, ladies and gentlemen, this will be the end of the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the likes. I'll be back next week. This is for AK RIP, rest in peace, Scott Hall, aka Ray Ramon, and this is for you. Rest in peace, Scott Hall. I'm out, y'all.